We have all lost someone in our lives, be it a relative, a friend. Grief is tough. But for children, grief and mourning is especially difficult because they deal with loss in a different way than adults do. And that's why this morning we are talking about some of the resources right here in Indiana for folks dealing with the loss of a loved one, like a parent, especially young people. And we welcome Carol Braden, Executive Director of the program at Brooks Place right here in Indiana, to share a little bit about some of the differences between adult and youth grieving. I lost my father when I was 23, and it was a difficult time for me, and I think in some ways more difficult because of how young I was. What do you see with children?
Exactly what you're saying, Naomi. Children grieve very differently than adults, and they want you to know so many things about how they grieve differently. First of all, a child, a teen, a young adult like yourself wants adults to know that they're a child, they're a teen, they're still a young adult, all while they're grieving.
And sometimes displacing some of that grief, and you might find it in other ways, like in the classroom.
In the classroom, absolutely. So a child's grieving all the time. That's another message that they want you to know. So a child wakes up, they're eating breakfast and they're grieving. They're going outside playing and maybe laughing and they're grieving. A teenager, a young adult is going to class or going to college, trying to concentrate, and they're grieving. But how that comes out are in short windows that we call grief bursts. Those short windows are incredibly important and significant to their grief journey.
And that's where a place like Brooks Place comes in. What do you do for young people?
At Brooks Place, we serve children, teens, young adults, and their adult caregivers who have experienced the death of a loved one. We offer peer support for children, because one of the main things that children are experiencing, and teens and young adults, is that they feel alone. And we also offer individual counseling as well as grief education for professionals in our community.
What if you are a parent or a relative to a young person who's grieving? What are some of the signs you should look for that maybe they need more help than just a talk?
Oh, I love that question. First of all, the first sign is to assume that they're grieving. They're grieving all the time and that they need support. And to be able to get them into an environment where they can have that support and know they're not alone, that's first and foremost. So they'll notice many things along the way. They'll notice the grief bursts, and most often with children, that comes through their play, not always through talking everything through.
Gosh, well, thank you so much for coming in today and sharing this really vital information. We appreciate the work that you do also at Brooks Place. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.